All right, this is the 148016. This is the new wltoys. This is the pro version. This is track ready. And what we did, we put the wltoys 144001 body on it. We just cut it down to make it fit correctly. Sway bars in front and rear. Those are the the LC Racing hard front and rear. It does fit, but it does have a little bit of clearance issue on, not sure how it's going to look right now, but I just drove it quickly just to kind of see how it feels, and one time it did bind up on the spring, so I'm not sure if it's the right clearance for it, or possibly I might be using too thick of a sway bar, and it might be making that clearance difference to actually get in the way of the springs. So what else we have going on here? So we had changed out all the electronics and, well, kept the motor, but changed out everything else. So servo that it comes with is a plastic servo, plastic internals. It's not metal. So I already had these in stock on my store, so I went ahead and put those in. Put that in. After I did that, that was one of the first things I did, because I noticed there was an issue with keeping the car straight, and the reason why is there's a servo saver that's looks just like this. It's white, and it's very weak. So almost every like 30 seconds to a minute, I have to readjust the steering trim. So got rid of the servo saver. We have another one coming in. We're going to test it out, see if that one comes in, if it works any better. If not right now, just a stock shoehorn for the actual servo itself works completely fine, no issues. So one of the things I read about, and some people say, you know, run a servo saver. Some people say don't for track use. I'm going to try it with a plastic servo saver first and see how it runs, and then from there we're going to go try the metal servo saver arm, and probably try a plastic one also. Got rid of the electronics, and I wanted to kind of clarify something. There's something that that I've been seeing and reading and watching videos in regards to the ESC of the wltoys brushless, and I want to explain why the ESCs have a delay. This car is an 18 scale. It's 40 something miles an hour. It doesn't have a slipper clutch, so it's direct drive, and because of that instant torque, instant power, this thing would almost be impossible to give to a beginner or someone that's starting into RC, to take that controller, pull it lightly, and actually not have the car just shoot like a missile or just completely do a backflip. So what they did is they tuned down the ESC to have a throttle delay midway point. So not only is there a dead spot in the trigger itself, there's a pretty big dead spot actually. The trigger on the WL, all that is nothing. So it doesn't register anything until you get about here. So once you get about here, then you're pretty much in that throttle range. And I think just adjusting the settings might allow that to give you more adjustability. But for me, I don't like the ESC. It's not my personal favorite, and I'm gonna try just something different, which is, I don't think this is the right ESC for it either. This is a Fly Color 25 amp ESC. I ran it several times on several batteries, no overheating issues. So if anything, I'm just gonna put a fan on it. Running this is from Ishin. So the reason we're running this controller, this transmitter, is because it has a speed dual rate. So I have never messed with any dual rates on any cars that I sell or own. So that dual rate actually keeps the speed down if the car's too fast. This will be the first time I've ever used a dual rate on any of my cars, because this car is way too overpowered, too torquey for the track with stock tires and even with the aftermarket tires. So we're gonna give this a run right now. In just a second, actually, I want to do one more quick comparison. So I did read also that some people were thinking that these two cars are pretty much the same, and they're not. They're completely different. So Yes, they have the same dimensions and size, but there's no interchangeable parts on here. I've already looked over it many times, and they have resemblance, but other than that, they are not the same. This one doesn't have the same thickness and arms in the front or rear. I believe this one might even be a little bit wider. Could be the same, I'm not sure. But there's definitely a big difference. This is the A59B. This is their fast version, brushed 550 motor. And this is their predecessor to that, or the answer to something that kind of went out. So let's give this a run on the track and see how it goes. This car is actually, it goes about 43 miles an hour. This is my censored EMB1. This is one of my fastest track cars. This one goes about 39 miles an hour. This car is extremely fast. Actually, technically, all my cars are really fast. This one feels just as fast, just feels different because it's so small. Doesn't have the dampening that some of these other cars have, so it's a little bit lower. Actually, let's do it up here. It's a little bit lower to the ground. I have the droop screws set to pretty much level the car out pretty evenly. I have the rear cambered in, and then I have the fronts cambered out just a little bit. Actually, yeah, out just a little bit. This is has a little bit too much grip, so I'm trying to cancel that grip out just a little bit and see if we can get a good run. So make sure that we're still good. Battery's all set up. Let's put a body on. Okay, so that's set at 50%. Actually, a little bit less than 50, probably like 48%. And my guess, just kind of looking at it on track, my guess is probably still hitting at least, I'd say at least 35 miles an hour. Yeah, it's definitely got some speed. So because of the smaller tire diameter on a track, you have to kind of keep yourself in throttle almost all the time. That way you have the wheel spin to keep your car level and straight in the air. So let's give it a couple runs on the track. I have not technically run this on a jump at all. I just drove it around just to kind of get the settings down. So I think this is pretty much dialed in. This is running 70 in the rear and 80 in the front shock oil. These springs are very, very stiff, so running anything lighter than that just didn't feel like it had any effect on the springs and the spring tension. So one of the things I also noticed, and going back to that servo, even though I have a direct mount horn, I still have a little bit, there's still a little bit of actually here, let me see if I can put it on camera. So if you notice, so right now inside the servo is actually moving just a little bit, but it's not moving any tires, so there's still a little bit of there's still a little bit of room for there's basically a dead zone. I'm not sure if this is going to strip out with that. Oh, that was a bad jump. This the plastic horn, but we're going to give it a shot. So yesterday's video was terrible. I tried driving it just basically stock and learning how to drive it. It was really hard to drive with that ESC and that, especially that controller. I would say the controller, probably more than anything, is probably the worst thing about this car, about WLs, because for me, I need steering dual rate, and if I don't have dual rate, then it's not going to allow me to drive the best ability of that car. It's a preset dual rate, and for the conditions I drive on, I need to be able to control that because of the grip of the carpet. Alright, maybe I can get a couple good runs. Okay, so all my cars takes me a little bit to get used to. Once I get around the track a couple times, then I'll be able to jam it. Yeah, so remember, this is only at like what, 40 something percent, 48%. So I can't get a consistent run on this like I can like the LCs. The LCs, there's nothing that can come close to an LC in regards to a mini. This one's pretty cool. Flies straight. It's actually pretty heavy for an 18. I think it's kind of really heavy for an 18, to be honest with you, but it keeps the car planted. It keeps the car straight in the air. Almost. I did not mean to do that, but because of the grip and the power this car has, kind of easy to do. So on the ESC, I adjusted the dead zone on this ESC. So I think I want to adjust it back to, it's on 6%. So basically what that means is the throttle response is closer to the end of the trigger instead of the beginning. I think I like having that response instantly when you touch the trigger. That's what I'm used to, at least. Okay, I did open it up. I actually did also add diff grease. So running low C, I think it's like 5,000, 5K in the front and then 3K in the rear. So that's what the problem is with this car. I think it's just hard for me to keep a consistent pace. And I think it's because of that wheel speed. So one of the things I definitely noticed is that you have to pull the trigger almost the entire track. If you let go for just even a second, it kind of throws you off just a little bit. Because this car, it almost feels like it has like a supercharger and a turbocharger. So its torque is just instant. It's gobs of torque. And then on the top end, it really just pulls. So running the heavier shock wheel definitely feels better on front and rear. I started from 40 and then I got to 80 and 40. I went to 40 to 60 to 70 and then 80 in the front. So I tried all the different shock weights. I've only run this car on carpet so far. I'm not really interested in the speed runs because there's a lot of other YouTube channels already have that information. So that's another issue that I'm having, is that these, and I've seen this on other videos too, is that these shock towers like to pop out. So what I do, these are directional. So one side is a little bit more tapered than the other. So one side is going to have a bigger opening. That bigger opening have facing towards you. That way the smaller side is going to the ball. And that holds these in a little bit better, but not great. So it's better than the other direction. The other direction, you can literally just pull it off with your finger. So I'm not sure what they're thinking with that, but and there it goes again. So this needs to be replaced with a screw, not a ball stud. So when I have a chance, we're gonna I'd probably attach screws in the tops. The bottoms are fine; those are actually hooked in pretty solid. It's the tops that just come off. So far, this is my favorite looking 18. I have other 18s that like my high boxing 18. I have those set up for track, and those things drive amazing. So nothing against this car, but right now it's hard to beat the high boxing for my 18s. So I did open this inside up, and this motor is I believe it's a 4300 kV, and it's the 27 tooth pinion. So this is basically, I believe it's the same setup as the EAT14. If not, then it's going to be the same setup as well, technically there wouldn't be any setup like this. So if it's not the same motor combination as the EAT14, because I haven't been able to see what the kV is, then it's the same combination as the 144010 with the 27 tooth instead of the 19. Really thought about bringing the speed down on this by changing the motor out to a 10-shock 5150. I have one I can install, but I think this motor is good as it is. This feels very similar to what my censored motor feels like. Instant torque, high top speed. It's just the weight on this. You have to be careful on how you drive it, because the momentum of it, it's literally like a little rocket. So you kind of have to drive it kind of careful until you can kind of get used to it. Save that, nice. Now I could take that turn at a good speed without the sway bars. No, I lied. I can't. I could. I could take that turn with a decent speed without the sway bars, but the shocks have to be set up correctly, and you have to slow down quite a bit at the very end. So technically, it's not that fast at the end, but to try to do that turn on stock suspension, it's impossible. I was actually worried about the window getting blown out. It just kept traction rolling everywhere. Alright, let's see if we can get a couple good runs again. So I can't get any consistent runs going, but this car is yeah, so I think if I had my controller set up to how I like it, I think I could probably drive this car pretty good. It's not going to be for everyone. It is heavy. I would say it's definitely more of a dirt basher. I think all the WL cars are dirt cars. To try to use these on track, I have several of them, and they fail left and right. So I have a graveyard of WLs. I think I have like 6 broken ones right now. And every time I fix them, they re-break. So this is probably going to be one of my favorite ones. When I can get it driving good. I almost feel like a little more clearance. Ooh. Got caught up on a string. That's another thing I noticed about this car. Well, not this car, it's technically the tires. These tires love this carpet, so they pull up every imperfection. I got wrapped up everywhere. All right, let's get that off track. All right, so checking the temps. Motor's kind of warm. ESC with no fan. It's just warm. Again, we're only running at 0.5%, so like 48, 50%. Alright, let's see if I can get a good run now. I think I have a feel of it. Alright, here we go. Uh-oh. I think I have a motor wire that unplugged. Let's check it real quick. Yeah, so this one is a loose connection. This is one that keeps unplugging on me. So I might have to change the connection out, or if there's any kind of a fix for that, that'd be great information to know. I was actually thinking about putting some just some foil in there or something like that, just to keep a contact and fill up the area around it. Everything looks right. Yeah, everything looks good. All right. Looks like I'm turning right just a little bit, so let's see if we can straighten it out. Sometimes I wonder if it's the tire's gripping on the direction of the carpet, if it's throwing my direction off. Yeah, it's hard to drive. I want to lift it up and give it clearance, but then I'll lose that driftability on that turn over there. I think I was gonna make that. All right, come on. Need some consistent runs. This thing has so much power, I can almost do like a standing jump, where basically I could be right in front of the jump, hit throttle, and clear whatever distance I need to. Let's see if we can clear the tabletop on the backside. Oh, almost. I'm gonna get that one day. Yep, clear it for sure. So because of its weight, it does like to stay planted most of the time, and it will correct itself most of the time to get back on its wheels. Uh-oh. Looks like we have an issue. Let's see what's going on. So definitely want to run some Loctite on the wheel nuts. This one looks like it just tightened. That's weird. Oh, That's why I still have stuff in here. So let me clear out this this carpet in my wheel, and that way I can roll a little bit free. Yeah, I noticed the drag into the jump, and I think I ran it one time and I just never ran it again. So I ran it one time on the track. It does go pretty fast. I think it's 27 miles an hour with I put hyboxing ESC on it. Actually no, I changed out to the 144001 ESC. That way I could use the wltoys transmitter. Check that real quick. Still too tight. There we go. So that definitely needs to be locked tight. Yeah, so I changed out the transmitter, not that one. That one's this is one of my for sale cars, but the other one that I have for the track, I changed out the transmitter. I put the 144001 transmitter on here, and that way I could run the newer style transmitter with this car. Those come with the big fat transmitters, and that car actually runs a little bit better with that newer transmitter. So highly recommend that if you do have an extra ESC sitting around and an 8959. Alright, let's see if we can get a couple good runs on this now. Alright, I think I'm jamming on it just a little bit better. Definitely better than yesterday. Yesterday I was having problems. One of the things I noticed too, because of its big motor, the gas mileage sucks. So your battery life is not great on this big motor car, and that's even at the 50% that I run it at. So if you're going to be doing speed runs on it, you're probably going to want the bigger battery just to have more time and, you know, having fun with the car. Or you just buy yourself a couple extra 1500s. I personally like the lower weight of the 1500, but for the speed run, if you're doing speed runs, I definitely think you should probably get the bigger battery just to keep the weight down in front. So I'm learning how to tune cars for track specifically. I think I kind of knew some basics, but I realized that there's a lot of stuff that I did not know, and I'm just trying to get better at the knowledge that I have. That way I can pass it on correctly. I have never been to an actual track before, a real track, so I'm still learning everything as I go. Can see that. So I definitely think this is a track car. I definitely like the smaller wheels over the wheels I would normally run on the 18, which are like touring wheels. This car is tuned for this size wheel, so going bigger, it's just not gonna make that car drive correctly. It's gonna want to wheelie everywhere and just kind of act a fool. So oh, I did it. but I couldn't keep it consistent. I've been trying for a long time to do that. I still can't figure it out. So check that out. The wings pretty much busted off. I'm not gonna say, I'll leave the jokes to myself for now, but there are other YouTube channels that believe that a wing should last, apparently, on an expensive car. Now I have a really cool body, and I'm probably gonna put on here just for the look and show and pictures, but I'm probably not gonna race on it. But basically it turns this car into the look of a truggy instead of a buggy. And I sell the bodies. Boki Racing is where I get those from, and that's Jeremy over at Boki Racing. Amazing guy, amazing service. So if you're interested in getting one of these, turning it into like a newer, updated RC18, RC18T, then I just have to work on the body posts right now. I have all the ones that I believe will work. I just need to check the mounting and see what it looks like on. Alright, so that looks like a no, actually. I still hear battery. Or actually, I still hear the throttle kick just a little bit, so yeah, I just unplugged. So we're still running on a stock 1500, trying to get an idea of run time on a carpet track, just to kind of get an idea how many minutes we get. It is impossible to drive this car on 100% on the carpet with these tires. It is pure torque, and so this punch setting is actually set down to, I think it's either 1 or 2. Anything else higher than this was just too much for the track. So on this car, I think stock is 6. It went down to 4, went down to 3, and actually I think I am 2. I think 1 was a little bit too light. So this kind of gearing, it's kind of like a point and shoot. You're not really counting on air control. You can, obviously. This car's way overpowered. But what you're trying to do is basically just trying to get it into the jump because of the weight. It should be just almost like, get over there. Yeah, it's almost like shooting a hoop. That's kind of how I see it. So I'm just trying to get on that landing pad. That way I can boost off of it. So like I said, it just takes me a couple runs to get used to each car. I know my track pretty well, so even if I start driving a car bad, I'll eventually pick up the driving style of that car. Every car is different. You got to figure out how it's going to jump, when you have to release and that's it. Okay, so the cutoff on this is at 3.6 right now, so we could technically go lower, but that kind of gives you an idea of runtime. That's in just a 1500. If you're doing speed runs, definitely recommend something a little bit bigger. So this is a 184016. ESC set down below, running Velcro. Took out the battery trays along with the strap. Hard front and rear sway bars from LC Racing. It's the TX6 by Ishin transmitter. Servo, just standard servo horn, no servo saver. So servo saver delete. Yeah, I don't know if you can see this, but there's definitely a dead zone within that. So I think that servo actually might survive without the servo saver. I like the way it feels right now without it, so I'm gonna try to keep it that way. Heat, ESC on the warmer side. Motor, I would say about the same. So motor's really not that hot. The ESC is a little bit hotter. And we're gonna run a fan on this one next time, and we're also gonna match it up to the LCs. These are just a few of the LCs that I have. This track was built for the LCs, so any car that I get that can compete with these is always welcome. So that's all I got for now. That is the comparison between the A959B 184016, and we're going to run some LCs in a little bit. All right.